If you know love and marriage go together, and you're staying with the Lord forever, let me hear you say, hey, oh. Let me hear you say, hey, oh. Hey, oh. I'm about to teach you something about love. Do you want to know
What's going on, good people?
love?
It's
Can I
the
teach you
big
something
homie
about
T
love? When you love
Shees
someone, you marry 'em. I'm about
coming
to
to you
teach you
today.
something about love.
I'm
Do you want to
excited.
know about
It's the
love?
Lord's Day.
Can I teach you
I'm
something
traveling
about
today, so I'm trying to get a video out before I leave, but I'm really excited. The big homie T Shees, data scientist, social commentator, getter of buckets. What are we talking about today? The so-called trad wife and why modern culture and the left in particular hates them. This is an interesting topic for me. I know a little bit about it, not because I am a trad wife, but because I have a trad wife. So I know a little bit about it. Uh, my wife and I have been married for 18 years, and my wife has been a stay-at-home mom for pretty much 17 of those, solid 17 of those, because my daughter is 17 years old, and we basically got pregnant right away. And ever since we've had my daughter, we've decided that my wife would stay at home and be with the kids. So I know a little bit about it. I got 17 solid years on the benefits of the so-called trad wife, which back in the day they used to just call them wives. Okay. So here's the deal. I want to talk about this idea of the traditional domestic uh, uh, orientation, right? The traditional situation where the man would go out and work, and when there were children, the woman would stay at home, and she would be kind of basically the executive of the home. And modern sensibilities suggest that the reason why it was like that is because men oppressed the women. Somehow men forced the women into doing this. And while the women would much rather have been doing, stuff that men do, they got stuck at home with the kids. And so enter feminism and all of its, pretensions to, quote, deliver the woman from her oppressive state. This, of course, is complete nonsense. I want to tell you, first of all, why we as a family decided that my wife would stay at home. Because I got to tell you, we were doing, I'm 17 years in, 18 years into marriage, 17 years of being basically a man that goes out and works and cares for his family. My wife and I have 3 children now. We have 17, 12, and soon to be 7. So we got them spread out pretty good. That's another story. But uh, the thing about what we decided to do was that we did it when it wasn't trendy. And even, I will even say this, even in Christian circles, which we obviously are in Christian circles because we are Christians, that wasn't even really even popular amongst our peer group at the time. I have, lots of people, contemporaries, people who are my age getting married and having kids, but they weren't necessarily going to the traditional domestic setup. So why do we do it? We did it for one reason and one reason only. It's because we thought that's what would be best for our kids. Which is a good segue because I think that I love the way God often does things. And God was helping me work through and reason about something some time ago. I would say I say it that way because I know some of you people get weird about people saying God was showing me or God spoke to me and said. Some of you get weird about that. Whatever. That's kind of a you problem. I don't know how you distinguish how God opened your mind to see something and God showed you. It's the same thing. But anyway, I was thinking about design as a as a concept and how true creativity and design almost requires some sort of constraints specifically when the thing being designed has to meet multiple purposes. So, for example, if I said, hey, I want you to make me a screen upon which motion pictures or still images can be viewed. Okay, that's one way to do it. That's one thing that needs to be done, and there are obviously many ways to do that. But you could have a screen that, like the IMAX, which is like 3 stories tall, or you could have something very small. So how do you decide how to proceed with that? Well, if I add another design feature which is essentially a constraint, I would say to you, it needs to be portable. So now that immediately eliminates the idea of having a 3-story IMAX theater, because it needs to be something that an individual person can take with them. And by portable, I'm going to be even more specific than that, because it could be technically portable if you put it on a truck, right, and carried it around. I guess technically the TVs that are in your home are technically portable. It just depends on how you decide to to move them. But no, if I said it needs to be portable, it needs to be able to fit in someone's pocket, right? And so basically, anytime you have another feature that's introduced, you introduce a constraint. And so what you find is the most creative things created or made often have lots of constraints, because they have to fit many different purposes, and they have to have a lot of features that allow it to function in certain ways. But this is the reason why I bring up this issue of creativity and the features and things like that, is because we often think about the height of creativity as, some artist staring at a 10 by 10, a 10 foot by 10 foot blank canvas, having, basically the world at his disposal. He can make anything and whatever. He can do whatever he wants. And we say, oh, that person, they have maximum creative freedom. It's like, yes, they technically have maximum creative freedom, but creative genius isn't introduced when there are no constraints. Creative genius is introduced and shown when there are many constraints. And we often see these constraints as hindrances to our creativity, and it's the exact opposite. It unlocks the creativity. And the constraints themselves are not constraints that are arbitrary, but they denote purpose. Just like the screen that needs to be portable, it can't be 20 feet wide. It needs to fit in your pocket. That's not. So then when the screen is small and like 100 people can't view it, that's not a bug. It's a feature. It's not a flaw in its design. It's optimal for the purpose in which it was designed. And this brings me to the female, the woman, and the domestic situation, because this is why the left hates the traditional wife so much. It's because the traditional wife and the traditional domestic situation, people who are subscribing to that are poking a hole into the fake world that the left has created. Because in the left's mind, in the mind of people on the left, in the popular culture, there are no differences between men and women. All of the differences between men and women are illusions, right? And when a woman decides of her own volition that she wants to function in a way for which she was optimized and designed, the left hates that, because it pokes a hole in their fake Truman Show world. Have you ever seen that movie, The Truman Show? Many of you, if you're young, you probably haven't seen it. It was a movie starring Jim Carrey. I don't even remember when it was released. But anyway, Jim Carrey he was this character in a show, and everyone knew it was a show except him. It was fake. And then eventually he started to figure out that his whole world that was constructed around him was fake. And he started to basically explore it. He ended up, I forget the details of the movie, because I've seen, it was many years ago that I saw it, and it really wasn't that great a movie. But anyway, he recognized that the world around him was fake. And that's what's happening right now with women in our culture. Many of them are realizing that the world that has been constructed for them by feminism is fake. It's fake. And remember this. This is a saying that I like to often repeat. And if you watch this channel at any length in the future, you will realize that I'll say this a lot. Lies are fragile, but the truth is resilient. Lies are fragile, but the truth is resilient. And here's the truth. Here we go. Controversial truth. Controversial truth. You ready? Women are optimized to function in a domestic setting in a way that a man is not.
Bruh.
I'm just saying. I don't know. I'm trying to. Yeah, that's what I was looking for. My applause. Don't mind my fumbling around here. I got this new little audio set up and I'm still working through it. But anyway, women are designed to be function in the domestic setting in a way that a man is not. And women who accept that, women who accept the inherent limitations and features of their design are a threat to the whole fake world that the left has constructed. It's like the Emperor's New Clothes. You remember that? Everyone remembers the age-old fable of the Emperor's New Clothes, where basically the Emperor's walking around naked, and it's blatantly obvious to everyone that he's naked, but only one little boy had the courage to say, "Hey, that man's naked." And you see, it's an important difference between everyone knowing that something is false and everyone knowing that something is false and somebody having the courage to say that it's false. There's a very, very big difference between those two things. Having the courage to say that something is false and everyone knowing that it's false, but no one saying anything, it changes the atmosphere. These are two very different things. And the traditional wife, the rise of the trad wife, right, which is apparently, and I'm sorry, maybe I should have set that up. The whole phenomenon of the traditional wife, and now it's kind of being trendy now. It's coming back into style, where women are saying, you know what? It is actually not better for me to be working in a widget factory or trying to move up to middle management rather than being at home and serving my family, serving my husband and my children. But let me explain to you a little bit. Let me just flesh out the idea of why women are actually optimized to function in a domestic setting in a way that men are not. Because here's the deal. You ready for this? Controversial. Women can grow a baby in their body. And then women can pass a baby through their body. And then women can feed a baby with their body. Okay? Men cannot do that.
What a fascinating etymological discovery.
We can't do that. And because of that design difference, women have a different natural relationship and interaction with children than men do. When women have a different relationship and interaction and just a bond and my wife will tell you this. And by the way, my wife and I are going to be doing some love and marriage podcasts, and we're going to be talking about this in detail because I think women need to be encouraged. My wife, who is a traditional wife, so she can tell you about it, women need to be encouraged that this is not only good for her, for the children, I should say, but it's also good for the women. It's also good for the husband. It's best for everyone. And this is what I'm trying to get at when I talk about this, the teleology of the family, the design language of the family. It is designed, when something is well designed, it is designed to meet multiple needs based on its purpose. And that's what the family structure does, the traditional family structure does, because it's not just about the woman's needs, it's not just about the man's needs, and it's not just about the kids' needs. It's about all of their needs and how those things can be optimized. And when you optimize everyone's needs, just like when a thing that is well designed has to meet the functional requirements of all the things it was designed to do, it introduces naturally constraints. There are constraints. If a screen is to be portable, then it can't be 20 feet long. The fact that it's small is not a bug, it's a feature and a plus. The fact that women are designed in such a way to have a special and unique relationship with their children that men do not have, that's not a bug, it's a feature. And modern feminism is teaching women to despise and hate their design. And the left can't let anyone poke a hole in their fragile little fake world that they built, because they want women to think that that relationship that she has with her children is nothing special, nothing unique. A man can do it all the same. This is a lie. So when my wife had our first child, she stayed home because that child, an infant child, needs round the clock attention. She nursed and fed our baby. I have never in my life bought a can of formula. I have never done that. Well, maybe I have. I can. There might have been one situation that I can't remember, but I can tell you right now, we didn't feed our children formula, and everyone knows that biologically, that is best for kids. There's nothing better than a mother's milk for her child. And I realize that when I talk like this can introduce a little bit of tension, because for many women, for many families, they have decided not to do that, and it could come off like you're trying to judge them for making different choices. And I'm not trying to do that at all. I am just simply pointing out the fact that optimizing, and this is what we'll talk about a little bit more in our Love and Marriage podcast. When something is already optimized and then you try to do something different, what you're actually doing is you're gaining something at the expense of another thing. And so you're not actually making any net progress. And I think that what people are starting to realize is that this dual income where both the mom and dad go to work and you work, you can buy a nice car and you can live in a slightly bigger house, but you effectively have someone else raising your kids. And there again, this is no judgment. I'm not trying to say that if you send your kids to daycare, you're doing something bad. I'm just saying to you that you can't have everything all the time. And this is one of the big lies that are introduced by feminism, because they want women to think that you can wait till you're 40 and get to work up to middle management and then have the kid and then have the house and then have the everything. No, you can't. Sometimes when you choose one path, you end up forfeiting other things that you would have had instead. It's called opportunity cost. So, traditional wives, go make your husband a sandwich and take care of your kids to own the left. By the way, I got that from someone I follow on Twitter named Potluck Lauren. And she tweeted that out. Still, to this day, my favorite tweet of all time. That's not even hyperbole. My favorite tweet of all time. She tweeted out, "Going to make my husband a sandwich to own the left." But anyway, so what we found is the traditional wife and the traditional domestic situation is about everyone's well-being. It's about everyone flourishing to the best of their ability. And I think God already knew and understood that the design of the family would naturally go this way because of the features and the unique contributions that men and women make to the family. And so this lie, this myth that has been perpetuated for the last several decades going back to whenever the kind of the advent of feminism entered into the fray with their lies and their disillusionment of women. Going back to that, people used to believe and understand that the natural way to proceed in a domestic situation was that women would take care at home, their temperament and their general disposition with the children. That works best. But feminism insisted that that was the result of oppression. And this is why, when a woman accepts the reality of her design and starts to poke a hole in that fragile worldview, this is why the left is going crazy. What do you think, friends? What do you think about it? I always like to hear what you think. So drop me a line. If you like this content, please like, share, and subscribe. I know people call you to action like that, and I will be honest with you. Most of the time, I ignore those calls to action as well. But my channel is young. I'm trying to grow it, and I'm trying to get this content out. So please, if you found this helpful, please share it with someone. Drop me a comment. It helps the algorithm when you interact with it and make a little comment. So I appreciate you, my friends. Till next time, God bless you.
If you know love and marriage go together and you're staying with the Lord forever, let me hear you say, hey, oh.